Today we're going to talk about chapters 14 to the end of the book in My Louisiana Sky by Kimberly Willis Holt. This is an amazing book, and yeah, it's just an amazing book. So I hope that you enjoy doing these chapters with me. And so remember, this is for people who've already read the book. So let's just dive right into chapter 14. You know, Magnolia, if you have one word to describe Magnolia, what would that be? And also, I also wanted to ask you, why do you think that Magnolia is sounding so much like Granny? Do you think that it's a good thing that she sounds so much like Granny, or do you think it's a bad thing? And also, I wanted to ask you about what I wanted to also ask you about was, swimming pool. How do you think that Tiger felt when she went into her first swimming pool? And I wanted to use a simile for this. Basically, how you can do this is be like, for example, that's Tiger. I felt like I was in heaven when I went into the swimming pool, something like that. But how do you think that the whistle sort of made the swimming pool experience made the swimming pool experience not so good? Why do you think so? If you had heard a whistle, would it also have ruined the swimming pool experience, or would you be like, oh, who cares, and kept on swimming around? And also, I wanted to ask you, if you haven't been in a swimming pool, let me just tell you, it's awesome. But some people here, I'm pretty sure, have gone to swimming pools. And so Tiger felt like at first she was she loved it, right? To you, what would this experience be like? I'm pretty sure that you might not like swimming, right? So to you, what would this experience be to make you feel like Tiger? Maybe actually going to Hawaii. But then again, yeah, that would be an amazing experience. So basically, what's an amazing experience you want to have? And also, okay, now I wanted to ask you about there was this beauty shop, right? And when Tiger went down to get the Sam's and mail some things, to the post office, she saw the beauty shop, right? And do you think that did you think that Tiger's mama and daddy, did you think that they were gonna approve or not? And if Grandma had still been alive, how do you think that she would have reacted toward this haircut? And also, I wanted to ask you, do you think that this hair, right, this haircut, did you think that this was going to make Tiger look any more awesome? Or do you think that Tiger is still Tiger and that people just like her that way and you wouldn't like her to cut her hair? Or is it just does it not matter if she cuts her hair or not? Okay, and anyway, also, now they were cutting the hair until finally Magnolia was on the sidewalk across the street, right? Tiger saw that. And so, anyway, Tiger was like so surprised, right? Why do you think that Tiger suddenly wanted to go? I mean, like, why do you think that she didn't want to be caught in the beauty shop? I mean, like, if she cut her hair, that Magnolia still might approve. Why do you think that she just ran off toward Magnolia? And also, what are some things that in your opinion, that Magnolia was really worried about? Two things, okay? They're probably, number one, yes, Tiger might be lost, but mostly her job, right? She might lose her job. Okay, chapter 15. If you happen on Dory K, then how would you like the haircut? Would you be like, oh, you shouldn't have done that? Or would you be like, wow, it's awesome? Or is it like neutral, not really awesome, but not bad either? Okay, and also, I also wanted to ask you about, what I really wanted to ask you about on Dory K was Granny, right? And Granny's relationship, on Dory K and Granny's relationship, right? So I want I want to read a paragraph, okay? It's this. That's what Granny always told her. Her face grew serious. Really? Yes, ma'am. Granny would say, one thing I don't have to worry about is my gal Dory K. She's got a good head on her shoulders, right? When Aunt Dory K heard this, why do you think that she began to cry? Why do you think that she wasn't happy about it? Happy about her comment? Why so sad? Okay, now I also wanted to ask you, what do you think about Elvis Presley? Okay, so and like, do you admire him, or do you not admire him, or do you not even know him at all? I don't know him at all, really, And also, I also wanted to ask you, why do you think that Aunt Dory K was laughing when she slipped on a puddle of water? Why do you think that she was laughing about that? Okay, and I also wanted to ask you, if you had been Tiger, would you have had the courage to tell Jessie Wade that you wanted to be friends, but not just, like girlfriend, boyfriend, Would you have had the courage? And have you ever had any like situations, not exactly like this, but like something sort of like this? I haven't. Yes, I haven't. But maybe I could. What's a good example I could use? What about, okay, I can't think of anything right now. Okay, so when they went to Magnolia's house, right? Aunt Dory K told Tiger, don't get out here, right? And she also said, you don't need to be going down that way. Best you stay at home. You stay home, right? So why do you think that it would look bad if a white person was walking along a black house street? And the segregation. What are your opinions on segregation? And if you had to write a newspaper, then and one of the articles, let's say for some reason was about segregation, then how would you have made the article? And if you had to write it, then how would you have wrote it? And you could actually do this. It's pretty fun to make a newspaper. I have made a newspaper, and it's pretty fun. Okay, and also, now I also wanted to ask you about, what I wanted to ask you about here was Magnolia, she missed his son's birthday, right? And do you think that Magnolia should have come here anyway, or do you think that Magnolia should have just stayed home? And anyway, also I wanted to ask you, do you like the name Tiger more, or do you like the name Anne more? And here's the really cool thing: Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Green Gables, I like that book. It's a really awesome classic, and I advise you to read it. But anyway, in Anne of Green Gables, the main character, is redheaded, and Tiger Anne is also redheaded. Oh, could be a coincidence, right? Okay, so if you had been Magnolia, when you looked around at Seder, would you have thought that it was pretty? Or would you have thought that it was too, wild and you liked the city better? Okay, chapter 16. Okay, so if Magnolia's first impression of the house, not the best. If you had been Magnolia and you just looked at the house, what would be your immediate thoughts about the next few days with the family? Like, what was their immediate thought be? And okay, and also I wanted to ask you about was how do you think that Magnolia made it so that Tiger's mother didn't really begin to mope around, but she actually just stood up and began to do things? How do you think that Magnolia did it? Okay, and also I wanted to ask you about this work, right? And so Magnolia's in charge of it. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you about Magnolia and her small miracles. Why do you think the miracles are maybe a little more special, let's say special, to Magnolia? And also, what are some small miracles that you would talk about in your daily life? Okay, small miracles here. Number 1, I get to read tons of books. That's a miracle. And number 2, the sunrise and sunset, like Magnolia says. Another small miracle, I guess, is maybe just let's see, another small miracle is probably let's see, even thinking, right? Thinking, that's simple. But if we can't think, then we can't do anything. Okay, we couldn't even breathe. But my point, so it's a miracle that we can think. Like, I'm talking right here. I'm talking, and my heart is beating, my lungs, I'm right now breathing. And I couldn't do this without thought, right? Even if we don't think about it, we have to breathe, we have to, our heartbeat's all thinking, right? And these hand gestures I'm making, without thought, I wouldn't be able to make them. Okay, and also I wanted to, and so also another thing I wanted to ask you was this. So Magnolia asked this. Your aunt ain't, so I'm gonna read this, okay? Your aunt ain't never home enough to get a man. Why do you think she'd be home for you? Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. So thanks, Magnolia, for giving me a great question to ask you. Okay? Why? Why do you think so? Why do you think that why do you think that Aunt Dorothy Kate has space for Tiger when she doesn't have any space or time for a boyfriend or husband? Okay, and now I also wanted to ask you about what I wanted to ask you about was the Shorty and Milton. How is your way for dealing with bullies? And if you had to, and let's say in your imaginary newspaper, you had to write an article about bullies, then how would you put it? Like, yeah, how would the article, how, if you have been the writer, how would it be like? Okay. And also, I wanted to ask you about the garden work, right? Nursery work. Would you have wanted to work what is your dream job? And is it working in a nursery? Or is it maybe being a doctor or a nurse or a bus driver or a firefighter or a policeman or somebody in the military, or maybe a vet or a musician or a writer, CEO, founder of a company, astronaut, countless jobs, and like zookeeper, biologist, scientist. Oh man, there's so many, I'm like, there's so much. There's so much I can't really choose from the list, right? Like a million. I can just think of a job right now, electrician. Yeah, like that. There's so many jobs. So what's your dream job? Okay, now Tiger told Jessie Wade about everything, right? And what do you think that this really showed about Tiger? And then when Daddy and Tiger drove up to the house, flapping like on the laundry line, there was Mama's nightgown, which means that Mama was in something else, and maybe she wasn't moping around. The work of Magnolia is shown here. Okay, now chapter 17. Okay, so Mama, right? Mama, she's gotten better. So what I wanted to ask you was, with Mama getting better, how do you think that this made the house? How do you think it changed the house from what it was before? And was it a good change or a bad change? Okay. And also, I also wanted to talk about the laundry, right? And so it began to they heard thunder, and so excuse me, and Tiger grabbed everything, right? But the sunbonnets, right? Granny's 3 sunbonnets, and she left the sunbonnets hanging in the rain. Why do you think that she left the sunbonnets out in the rain, and do you think it's gonna help bring Granny back or not? And also, have you ever felt like maybe because I wanted to read this these 2 sentences. It said this: if only it could. Okay, wait, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna read not like 2 sentences, because I'm gonna start at the middle of a sentence. I'd be prouder than anything to stick that silly old bonnet on my head. I'd even wear it in front of Abby Lynn Anders. What does this show about Tiger and about Tiger? Yeah, and if you had been Tiger, would you have had the courage to actually put the bonnet on and be right in front of Abby Lynn Anders or not? And now, so Magnolia is beginning to Magnolia is like giving all the chores, right? Maybe not all the chores, but like a few chores left and right, you know, like giving them, because like not a few chores can hurt anybody. Okay, but suddenly there were all these birds, right? And Daddy said this, something's happening. What do you think that this meant? What do you think was happening? Okay, chapter 18. So now I wanted to ask you about the sky, about something's going to happen, right? And so what do you think that this thing is? And also, now we also know the cows know something. So maybe this thing is going to be big. So this big thing that's going to happen, what do you think the worst thing could happen here? What do you think the worst weather disaster that could happen in Louisiana would be? And also, the same weather disaster, I know, you know, you've read the story, so you know right by now. The same weather disaster happened in 2005 in New Orleans. Like all around New Orleans and like up there, but mostly New Orleans. Okay, and also, I wanted to ask you about Shorty and Milton, right? Do you think that, you know, like Shorty said this, but he's simple, and the he is Daddy, right? Do you think that Shorty, do you think that Tiger's daddy really is simple or not? And I wanted to ask you about, do you think that Mr. Thompson will be, Mr. Thompson will be happy when he learns that, Shorty was fired, or do you think that he will be mad because that was one of his workers? Okay, and about Milton, right? Milton said that he had a family to feed and he couldn't afford to do this kind of thing, right? Okay, I'm pretty sure that you haven't had this kind of thing happen to you before, but I'm just gonna ask you again. Have you ever had that kind of thing happen to you before? So anyway, they're all cleaned up, right? And do you think that Tiger's dad is right about this, or do you think it's just gonna be a little storm? Okay, anyway, so now, Tiger runs out into the hurricane, right? Because everything's okay. Tiger's dad has to be there, right? And Tiger goes out toward the house. And okay, so have you always had like that thing, had the situation where like there was a cow, not like a cow, but like something that you had to do, even though it was like you were doing something that was really urgent, but you had to do that something, like, and it was sort of making you waste time. That was Pansy, right? Pansy was stuck in the mud. Okay, but anyway, Tiger begins to help, right? Help Pansy. What do you think? What does this show about Tiger? What's another trait that you can see from Tiger? What Tiger did? What's another trait that you immediately thought of here about Tiger? And also, and then, so I also wanted to read these few sentences, okay? Is this: I took off running home, but instead of thinking of the hurricane, my thoughts were busy with how Abby Lynn thought I kind of looked like Audrey Hepburn. And to my surprise, I didn't care one little bitty bit. How do you think that suddenly Tiger changed from like trying to be in the cool girls group to suddenly becoming, like she didn't even care what Abby Lynn thought? How do you think that this changed? Why do you think that she's changed like this? And do you think that this is the way that Tiger should think, that she doesn't care about Abby Lynn, or do you think that she should care about what Abby Lynn thinks about, and she should be part of the cool girls group? Okay, now chapter 19. But the thing was, when they got home, we find out that Tiger's mom went out to search for Tiger. What is the show about Tiger's mom? But anyway, finally, we see Mama, right? And also, I wanted to ask you about what Granny said. Your mama's love is simple. It flows from her like a quick, easy river. From your friends or family, what flows out of her, like from he or she, like a quick, easy river? Like it doesn't have to be love. It can be something else. What is it? And if you can't really think of anything, then yeah, I get you. You know, sometimes really hard to do that. Okay, now they keep on going toward the house, right? And then suddenly, when they get there, the chicks are all over the place, right? And they began to grab all the chicks. All in all, this is a very exciting day, right? But after that, after everything's okay, his mama, they began to play goldfish. Do you think that's the appropriate time to do goldfish at that moment? And also, do you think that you would be able to play goldfish when you knew like this huge hurricane was right outside your house? Would you be able to play goldfish? And okay, and also, finally, Mama suddenly saw the okay, but anyway. Suddenly, Mama said, and she suddenly went out to the front door, right? And there were the bonnets, but Mama really wanted to get Granny's bonnet. Do you think that Mama should just have stayed inside because it's worrying? And do you think at times it's a little annoying that Mama is in her 6-year-old mind? And if you have been Tiger, to Tiger, do you think that you would have found it annoying or scary? You know, because her mother might die. But then it stops like a switch, right? Flip off the switch, and Daddy comes. And by then, how do you think that the story is, like just prediction, but how do you think that the story is going to go after that? Okay, guys, we're on our last chapter, chapter 20, okay? So let's just do it. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about, do you think that Seder was a lucky town after all? Or do you think that even if Seder was a lucky town, it still got hit hard, and that is what matters? Okay. And I also wanted to ask you, okay, another thing was about Aunt Kay's boyfriend, Kurt, right? Do you think that Aunt Kay changed her mind about not having the space and time for a boyfriend? And do you think that Aunt Kay is actually gonna marry Kurt, or just do you think it's gonna be a boyfriend? Okay. Now another thing is about like all the reporters, right? Now, how do you think that everybody's point of view on Papa, Lonnie Parker, has changed? And do you think it's like a good way or a bad way? And finally, the thing is so they all took pictures, right? And how do you think that Tiger felt about everything? And then Jesse Wade said, "Come on, let's play ball." And this time, Tiger agreed. What do you think changed in Tiger? And do you think that it was like the same thing that made Tiger not care about what Abby Lynn thought she looked like or acted like? And if you're not good at something, do you like doing it, or do you like doing it? And also, why do you think that suddenly Tiger is being so friendly to Abby Lynn? If you had been Tiger, would you have been friendly to Abby Lynn, or would you be like, oh, snotty girl, I don't like her at all? Okay. And also, do you think it's not fair for Tiger's teammates because, Tiger is not on Abby Lynn's team or not? And then I also wanted to ask you about a few last sentences. No, actually, it's all one sentence. Okay, it's this. Some days are like Cedar Creek, smooth and calm, letting you stay a child a little longer. And others are like Hurricane Audrey, taking hold of you and spinning you above the pines, making you grow up a little quicker, kind of like cutting your hair on a full moon day. Okay, so here, what do you think that this really shows about life? And do you think that like every day you grow up a little bit? Well, of course you do, or do you think it's like, of course, like every day you grow up, but like at certain points and certain times, like something happens that really makes your growth, like mentally and physically, your growth spurt, and mentally and physically, like that, go up. Okay. So guys, it was an amazing time. We had an amazing time together with My Louisiana Sky. Kimberly Willis Hall has made lots of other books, so I hope that you will check them out. But for right now, we finished the book, so hooray! High five. Okay, and now a few last questions. What's your favorite character here in the whole book now? Mine's Tiger. Least favorite character? Let's see. Shorty. He was a minor character, but still Shorty. Okay. Then also, favorite part. What's your favorite part in the chapters that we reviewed? Which, in my opinion, is probably the hurricane, because even though it was dangerous and a little scary, it was exciting in my opinion. And the whole book. And again, it's sort of like, I guess, being in Baton Rouge. That was my favorite part in the whole book, yeah. Okay, and what do you predict is going to happen next to Tiger? And now we don't, not specific things, you can be like, maybe she became an actress. You could just, imagine stuff about Tiger's life. Maybe you could actually write a sequel to this book, because there isn't any sequel for this book. And also another really cool thing is to watch a movie, because there is the movie, remember? Okay, so, and it's pretty good. Okay, finally, how did you like the book? We finished the book. You gotta give a review on Amazon or Goodreads or whatever. Give an amazing review, but if you didn't like it, then give a bad review. But I'm pretty sure that all of you guys loved it. I loved it, and I hope that you loved it and had a great time with me. Have a great rest of your time and keep reading because it's awesome. Okay, guys?